Good to go? Okay, good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday.
Sorry.
Staff issue.
Okay. I'm good.
Check. Morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. The time is 9:01 a.m. We're here for a regular meeting of the Kings County Board of Supervisors. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Here.
Richard Valley,
Here.
Doug Verboon,
Here.
Rusty Robinson, Richard Fagundes.
Thank you. 5 members present. We now have the invocation from Pastor Candace Cortez from the Quantia Church. Thank you, Pastor.
Good morning. I'm going to read a short verse, but thank you guys so much for having me. I want to read from Amos chapter 5, a short verse on not focusing on the outward appearance, but really being about the business. It says in Amos 5:21, I despise your religious festivals. Your assemblies are a stench to me. Even though you bring me burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. Though you bring choice fellowship offerings, I will have no regard for them. Away with the noise of your songs, I will not listen to the music of your harps. But let justice roll on like a river and righteousness like a never failing stream. So my Lord, I'm so thankful, God, for the men and women who have decided and dedicated so much of their life for justice, for peace, for lifting up the needs of the people in Kings County, my God. I pray, Father, for wisdom in this room, that it would just be abundant, that there would be such great clarity of the needs of the community, and there would be clarity of the motivations of our hearts. My God, would you help the righteousness to flow and justice to roll on like a river? Help us not to be distracted by things that may appear right, but might not be good for the people. Help us to not be distracted by our personal motivations, but help us to have the heart for the whole as the biggest part of who we are. My Lord, would you give us peace today and incredible camaraderie, that we would unite together to see the best achieved. In Jesus' name, everybody said, amen. Thank you so much.
Madam Clerk, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next up, we're going to have employee recognitions for the 2023 County Employee Budget Book Photo Contest. Supervisor Jones, would you help us get through that
I'm
part?
going to go ahead and start it off.
Thank you.
Kyria Martinez, CAO. So on April 5th, 2023 of this year, the County Administrative Office launched a countywide photo contest for all county employees. The photo contest winner will have their winning photo placed on the cover of the adopted budget book. So we started this contest in 1920, fiscal year 1920. We used to have just a single color page.
2020.
2020. We used to have a single colored
1920 was a long time ago.
I'm used to speaking in fiscal years. So we ended up launching this photo contest, and ever since 2019, we've been having a photo on our budget book. And so it's adopted. This is a historical book that we'll always have. It's listed, it's posted on our website. And also it gives us an opportunity to collect photos from the county employees of various areas in Kings County. So it's been a really great book. Now we have a really large portfolio of photos, and it's all to success to the employees who participate in the photo contest. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and launch our presentation. And so next slide, please. So here is the photo contest winners for the last 4 years. So in 2019, 2020, Jesus Tello from HSA actually won the first contest, and that photo is the far left, and that was in Avenel Hills in fiscal year 2020, 2021. Eva Torres, she won the location in Lemoore. That photo was taken there. And then Carl Lemus won in 21, 22. And that location was on Flint Avenue. And then last year, Desiree Aragon, who actually just retired, won with the location photo of the Hanford Civic Park. So we do have 3 categories. The first category is going to be Best Agricultural Photo. So the winner is Tina. This photo was taken on 7th Avenue in Fargo and Hanford. Tina, if you can come up. Oh, you're tired. You're tired.
I don't wear one very often.
So the next category we have is, and Matthew, if you can hold on for a second. It is Best Landscape Photo. And so the winner is Elizabeth.
Ta-da! Oh, wrong one.
This photo was taken at the Armona Fire Station 5 on 14th Avenue.
And for clarification, it was a historical building,
Oh.
not landscape.
Okay, and the last category we have is Best Landscape Photo. And so the winner is Brian Sapien from IT.
Selfie. Good job.
This photo was taken at the Kings River.
Good job.
Excellent. So the next, so this now, so what we do is we take an overall winner from all the categories and they are announced and their photo is the one that's placed on the budget book. So out of the 3 winners, the one who won the overall is Brian Sapien.
Does IT have anything to do with it? Can you count the ballot?
So actually,
Congratulations. You have a speech? Oh. Right.
so if all the winners can come back up here, we actually do have a customized lens cup and a ribbon and a trophy. Oh, with the little ones.
And then grab.
Oh, yep, yep, so
Please, thank you.
Good job, Christine.
You've got that. You want the board to stand up?
Oh, yeah.
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 Oh, there.
Oh, his trophy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Excellent. 1, 2, 3, Kings County. Jeez.
And this is how the final cover for our final budget book will be looking. We'll be going to print in the next 2 weeks. That's the cover.
Good job. Good work, everybody. Thanks Supervisor Neves.
Yes, thank you.
Next, we'll go to unscheduled appearances. Madam Clerk, any speaker cards?
I do have one speaker card from Bob Ramos.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Incidentally, those are all very nice photos. Congratulations to the winners. I want to talk about public safety, and we all know that, I didn't introduce myself, Bob Ramos. I live here in Hatford. We all know that our DA's office is short-staffed. I know you're working on the issue, and we want you to know that the public's very concerned. After all, it's public safety along with the sheriff's department and DA's office, very important to the public that public safety be looked at very closely and hope you come to a satisfactory resolution on this issue in the very near future. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir.
The next speaker card I have is Frank Gornick.
Mr. Garnett?
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Frank Gornick, resident of Lemoore, 656 Cambria Lane. I'm here representing the San Joaquin Valley Regional Broadband Consortium. For the last year, we've been working on broadband deployment throughout the state of California and particularly in San Joaquin Valley. Today, there are 456,000 residents in the San Joaquin Valley eligible for, but not benefiting from the financial assistance available for high-speed internet access. There are $164 million available in the Affordable Connectivity Program, unclaimed households for our region. My purpose today, the San Joaquin Valley Regional Broadband Consortium, California Educational Technology Fund, and Fresno State are putting together a task force to address this issue throughout the San Joaquin Valley. I'm here seeking 3 representatives from the county government to participate in that task force. I'd like you to deliberate that. Richard, there's a lot of pressure on making sure we get chairman on this task force.
Okay.
The meetings are going to be in person and virtual because of the distance within our region. But it's very important that we mobilize many of the community-based organizations, also all of the public entities, the schools, to participate in this effort, to learn from each other how best to reach out to our residents who can benefit from this program. That's my request.
I'll make a motion to nominate Richard Valley.
If I,
We can't take action during board member announcement.
that's correct, but if the board, if the,
But I did not talk to Doug before.
if the board would like to deliberate on the matter, then you can recommend it or ask that it be put on a future agenda.
Okay, well, everyone's fine with that.
She didn't see the humor in that.
Yeah. Future agenda. Thank you, council.
If you just contact me by email, I'd appreciate it.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
That's all the speaker cards that I have. I have no written, and it doesn't appear anyone online has their hand raised.
Okay, at this time, is there anyone? It's unscheduled appearance. Anyone could step? Morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Kings County Sheriff Dave Robinson. Going to report out on the river for you based on your board's action from last week. Commander Dodd reported to me this morning, no river issues to report from the weekend per the Water Rescue Unit. Floater count was low. A couple of landings had some get-togethers. River flow not too bad. The ramp at the golf course work suggested by Supervisor Neves worked out well. The owners of the land preferred to do the work themselves rather than us do the work.
Perfect.
And they created a nice slope area to get out of the river and also to get back into the river after the weir. And my staff report that floaters were using it both Saturday and Sunday. So that's my report. Thank you.
Good job, Sheriff. Thank you. And before we get going, I just want to note today's a historic day. Today's the last day that we'll be meeting in these chambers throughout the rest of the year. And when we come back, we'll be in a brand new remodeled chambers. And so I want to thank staff and the clerks, Catherine, those who led. Catherine, you want to say a couple of words about what's going to happen?
It's been a long 3 years. Bureaucracy is true. It takes a while to get through the process. I look forward to getting this room brought up to standards, current standards, so all with any disability may be able to participate.
So when the meeting's over, you can unbolt your chair and take it home.
They'll be for sale.
Okay.
So 1977, this was started?
No, you were here, right?
You know, I didn't even.
I came
say
the
that,
next
you know,
year.
I wouldn't even go there. I have respect for you.
Yeah. I was still in grammar school and
Me too.
Okay, all right. So here we go then. Okay, we go to approval of the minutes. Item A, report out of closed session from regular meeting for August 1st, 2023. Council,
There's nothing to report.
approval of the minutes from the regular meeting from August 1st, 2023. Okay, motion by Robinson,
Nev seconds.
second by Nez. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Abstain.
Rusty Robinson, Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Item passes 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Thank you. Item C, approval of the minutes from the special meeting from August 1st, 2023. Motion by Robinson,
Nev seconds.
second by Nez. Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Abstain.
Rusty Robinson, Richard Fagundes.
Thank you. Item passes 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Next is consent calendar. We have 4 items. If there are no questions or comments, Chair will entertain a motion on consent.
Don't move.
Motion by Fagundes,
Nev seconds.
second by Nez. Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson, Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Thank you. Item passes 5 in favor. Takes us to our regular agenda items. The first one comes from the district attorney's office. Is DA Hacker here or a rep? Maybe she's in the courtroom. We can come back to that one. Council? We'll probably skip that. We'll come back. Don't let me forget. Item B is Public Health Department ready to present their item. We have 1 item from Public Health. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board, Heather Silva with Public Health. By joining the nation in observing August 2023 as National Breastfeeding Month, the county will bring awareness to the importance of breastfeeding to the community for the health of infants and children. This proclamation is an opportunity to advance awareness of the benefits of breastfeeding through collaboration, leadership, and advocacy so families that can have the opportunity to breastfeed. Research shows breastfeeding to be an important primary prevention strategy that builds a lifelong foundation of health and wellness. Breastfeeding offers numerous benefits for both infants and mothers. It provides complete balanced nutrition for healthy growth and development in infants. Breast milk contains antibodies and immune boosting components that protect infants against viruses, illnesses, and allergies. Breastfed infants have lower risk of developing chronic conditions later in life, including obesity, type 2 diabetes, asthma, allergies, certain cancers, and cardiovascular diseases. For mothers, breastfeeding has been associated with lower risk of postpartum depression and anxiety. It has also been linked to a decreased risk of certain health conditions such as breast and ovarian cancers, weight loss, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. Our department continues to promote educational programs seeking to remove barriers and stigmas associated with breastfeeding and disseminating information to empower and educate women. Some individuals may face physical challenges or medical conditions that make breastfeeding difficult. While breastfeeding does offer numerous benefits, it's important for each person to make informed decisions on their specific situation and consult healthcare professionals for guidance and support. The Kings County Department of Public Health is requesting your board to adopt a resolution proclaiming the month of August 2023 as National Breastfeeding Month in Kings County. This concludes my report, but I would like to introduce Thomas Brand, who is our Nutrition Services Manager over our WIC division. I would also like to introduce Ann Margaret Lloyd, who is here representing the Tulare Kings Breastfeeding Coalition, who would like to say a couple words, as well as Carmen Escobar, the Regional Breastfeeding Liaison for Tulare County and Kings County WIC.
All right, welcome.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just a quick thank you for letting me be here today. Just want to let you know what we've been up to for the last year. Kings and Tulare County Breastfeeding Coalition did merge because we figured we were collaborating so much, we would just put our resources together, and it actually has worked really well. Our biggest outreach is our Lunch and Learn seminars. We were averaging about 35, 40 people. Now we're hitting about 200. So we're reaching out to many counties in California and in other states. So it's been actually really great. This month, we're speaking on California versus the federal lactation accommodation with a special visitor from our Congressman, David Valadao. He's actually going to be supporting this bill, and we're excited to have him speak today at our Lunch and Learn. We do also not just the Lunch and Learns, but local fairs. We do our baby cafe and farmers market. So we welcome anybody who participates to support these moms and babies in breastfeeding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carmen Escobar. I'm the Regional Breastfeeding Liaison for Kings County and Tulare County. I'm just here to, happy to support our fellow breastfeeding champions. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone for the presentation. Anything else you'd like to add? Okay, any questions or comments from the board?
Moves out line, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Nev, second by Fagundes. Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson, Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item passes 5 in favor. Appreciate you. Let's go back up to item A. Our CDA hacker is here, and let's take up her item. Good morning, ma'am.
Board, I thank you for your flexibility in scheduling this morning. I was in court. Sirs, I would like to present a board agenda item which would hire an independent contractor named Katie Smith to assist us with some of our filing as well as our motion writing. As this board does know, we do have significant attrition at the district attorney's office. And in order to ensure that we provide services to our community, I want to ensure that we can do so during the time between now and when we can hire some new DAs. This is obviously a short-term solution that I'm proposing so that we can just ensure that we have the services available to the public. The last thing I want to do is to compromise our public safety in any way. And this is an opportunity for this board to consider Ms. Smith as somebody who will assist us while we hire new people. I do have some great news. This afternoon, we are going to be interviewing 3 applicants for deputy district attorneys, 2 of which are deputy DA 1 and 2, and then the third one it would be a deputy district attorney 4, who has 26 years of experience. I personally want to extend my thanks and gratitude to this board because you have listened patiently and you have acted decisively. In addition to everything that you have done, you've given me the authority and the flexibility to hire people at any step. You've authorized a $15,000 retention bonus, and those 2 steps that this board has taken is going to be a very powerful tool in my interview with these applicants. And I can't wait to come back next week and to give this board great news on the efforts that you have taken in order to ensure this community's safety.
Good luck. Hopefully you can land all 3 of them. So,
I hope so too.
and then this is, will this be the second service? Didn't we do one last week too?
No, this is the first one.
Okay.
Ms. Smith was a deputy district attorney in Tulare County for approximately 6 years. She had conducted all different types of cases, but her specialty is with respect to sexual assault cases. This contract would be particularly important to our office because on August 15th, our sexual assault attorney is going to be leaving our office to join Riverside County. And so I think she'll be a great resource for us during the time when we can recruit another sexual assault attorney. She's also going to be assisting with our motion writing. We do have several writs and appeals that are pending right now, and she would be a great assistance to the current deputy district attorneys in drafting these legal documents.
All right, great. Okay, any questions, comments from the board? Chair, I'll entertain a motion.
Move as outlined.
Motion by Verboen, second by Robinson. Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson, Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Item passes 5 in favor. Good luck.
Thank you. And I can't wait to give you guys more good news next week.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day. Okay, so that takes us to item C, comes from administration. We have 2 items there. Who's going to take this over?
It'll be Matthew.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Matthew Boyette, Kings County Administration. So before your board this morning is an agreement with the Excelsior Kings River Conservation District for $75,000, which your board approved the $75,000 ARPA allocation to that district on September 20th of 2022. And so the district is looking to enhance and expand their conservation efforts and projects here within the county. And so what they're going to use this money for is to get some organizational management services through the Kings County Farm Bureau, as well as use this funding as a cost share mechanism to apply for various grants. One of them is the State Water Efficiency and Enhancement Program grant. They also have a Water Efficiency Technical Assistance grant, as well as the California Department of Food and Agriculture Healthy Soils grant. So this funding is going to help go towards enhancing the district's efforts to continue to grow their various conservation projects here within the county. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Appreciate that, Ms. Boyette. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Verboen, second by Fagundes. Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson. Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Item passes 5 in favor. Would you like to continue, Ms. Boyette?
Yes, sir. So the second item before your board is your board's official response to the grand jury's report titled "The Follow-Up to the Corcoran Cemetery District Report 2021-2022." So I was before your board a couple of weeks ago to seek direction on if your board wished to respond or not, because you were not legally required to respond, as we had no jurisdiction there with the City of Corcoran Cemetery District. But based on your board's direction, I did draft a response that is before you this morning for consideration. And within that response, and based on the conversations and directions from your board a couple of weeks ago, I highlighted the various works that the board and the county have done to support the district, one of which was the $100,000 worth of ARPA funding to go to support the district's increased operational and maintenance cost as a result of the pandemic and their increased demand because of that, as well as the support of county staff over at the cemetery district, working with their grounds crew to address many of the landscaping issues laid out within that grand jury report as well. In addition to that, your board expressed some desire to provide some constructive criticisms to the district, one of which was you had a recommendation to list the Board of Trustees on the cemetery district's website, so that way the public knew who they can kind of reach out to and voice any concerns that they have in regards to the cemetery district, as well as posting of the exact dates that the district plans to do the cleanup operations. So that way it can better assist the families to kind of plan when they want to put fresh flowers and decorations out for their loved ones. So all of that has been prepared in that response based on the conversations your board had a couple of weeks ago. And if approved this morning, I'll be sending that to the courts as your board's official response. So
You
that
did a
concludes
good
my
job.
presentation.
You did a good job with the letter.
Thank you.
On Friday, and you did a good job just piecing the whole thing together. I know it was a lot, so Chair, I entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion by Robinson, second by Verboen. Madam Clerk?
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Richard Valley.
Aye.
Doug Verboen.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson. Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm
Curious, who wrote that letter for you, Matt?
I did. I had a lot of help from Chat GPT.
Ah.
Just kidding. Me and only me.
It was good work.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have to wait till 10 a.m. to jump to the public hearing, or?
Yeah, we need to wait till 10 to do the public hearing. That's the agendized time.
Okay, okay. You guys know we move quick. 9:30 public hearing. Okay, so let's go to board member announcements. Everyone fine with that? Chief Knows, you prepared?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Continue to watch the water in the Tulare Lake. First fight meeting that was held on August 1st. We also approved the Moss Adams auditing services with a discussion on the Avenel Family Resource Center building. It's currently located on a school site that's going through some structural improvements. And so we'll have to be relocated, and we tabled that until we can get more information. Also reviewed the state projections on first five revenues for the future. And all the reports were reviewed and accepted. The South Fork Kings Finance Committee had a meeting on Friday morning talking about the upcoming budget in the future in the year. And then congratulations to the city of Lemoore, who hosted their first annual Cars and Cops show on Saturday with over 50 cars. I think the attendance might have been down because you had a bunch of cops there, but it's but it was a very good show, very nice environment at the sports complex, and certainly want to thank them for hosting that event. And then just a reminder, school is starting. I think the middle college starts tomorrow. And I think some of the Visalia schools started yesterday, and schools over the next week or so will be opening up. And so you'll see a little more traffic, a little more buses on the roadway. So just be careful as everybody transitions into a new school year. With that, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Supervisor Nails. Supervisor Fernandez?
This weekend I attend the St. Anthony celebration down here for a short period of time. And watch a procession that they had from the Immaculate Heart at Church down to the fairgrounds. Had a lot of people, tri-tip and state, so everybody was happy, I guess.
Good work. Good work. Thank you, Super Ben. Morning.
2 weeks ago, I was invited by PG&E to go to their facility in San Ramon on their safety initiative they've done over the last couple of years. And very impressed with the improvements they've made over the last 24 months on wildfire safety and the thing they've added to the system to turn power off if there's a short or something that happens in the process, and how they contact people. And the fact that they have, I think, 1,500 cameras monitoring their power lines in areas throughout the state. And I had the website where anybody can go in there and monitor that too. So they can focus in on artificial intelligence if they see smoke, and then all the cameras signal in on that one area to get safety there as soon as they possibly can. And then last week, I missed the meeting here on Tuesday. I decided to take my mother on a road trip for across 5 states. And so we're extremely exhausted. And we got to go back where she used to live in Idaho, and went and visited Supervisor Peterson up in Montana, and back home. So it was a busy week. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Phil.
Good weather the whole way?
No, it rained the whole time.
Oh, wow.
It started raining Tuesday in Utah, and it didn't stop till Saturday about, I don't know, about 1 o'clock in, where was that? Wyoming? No. Somewhere.
Wow.
Nevada, maybe?
All right. Good, Miles. Glad you're back. Sue Robinson?
Thursday, I had lunch with Frank Ruiz from Champions Recovery and just discussed transitional housing. Friday, I'm with several of the department heads and also Mayor Payton and Vice Mayor. We went to Tulare to see their housing project out there. Their low barrier tent project is really what it is. I'm still on the fence about the whole thing. They have consolidated some problems and issues, but I think there's a few left there to be solved. And then on Monday, I spoke to Mayor Payton for a little while about homelessness.
Good work. Thanks, Supervisor. Friday and Monday, spent some time. CAO Martinez, appreciate your time. We continue to talk recruitment, retention, and working through some of those issues. And then I want to thank PG&E also. Yesterday, Avenel had a bad day. I think they lost power about noon. And I think the last folks to get powered up was about 1:30 this morning. But working with Nathan, their public affairs rep, he was giving updates all day. And I think they sent about 68 personnel out there to, I guess there was a grass fire and it took down 5 utility poles. So it's a bad day. It was hot. I felt bad for people over there, but they worked to piece that city together all through the day and get some power going up. So hope all is well out there today. So thank them for that. Would you like to go with board correspondence?
Yes. For board correspondence, your board received various reports and informational documents as followed: the monthly fund balance report for the May 2023 from Finance Department, the treasury report of cash and investments from the Finance Department for May of this year, July 2023 monthly Kings County Investment Pools Transaction Activity Report, and the 2023-24 Lemoore Cemetery District Budget. Your board received correspondence from Mid-Kings River Groundwater Sustainability Agency and Tri-County Water Authority Board. Letters regarding notice of proposed amendments of groundwater plan for upcoming events. The Family Healthcare Network, in partnership with Calviva and KCAO, will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony for the food pantry on August 10th. That's located on 250 West Fifth Street in Hanford. The Lemoore Lions Club will be hosting its annual Brew Fest on August 26th from 5 to 9 at the Lemoore Lions Park. And save the date for the ribbons cutting of the Kings Building. That'll be on August 30th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Kings County Sheriff Posse will be holding their annual dinner, dance, and crab feed on September 9th, 2023. And there will be a Linkster Link Life Pink Passion Picnic on Tuesday, October 17th. And tickets must be purchased in advance. For upcoming event agenda items, we do have a large board meeting on August 15th. Administration has an item regarding an MOU with the City of Avenal for the collection of impact fees. Election has an item regarding Associates in Election Information Management System. Finance has an item to approve an agreement for advisory services. Health has 2 items for the temporary closure of all staff department meeting and training and an advanced step higher. HSA has 2 items that will be bringing a study session next week on Kings County home key projects and Stardust home key projects standard agreement authorization. IT has an item regarding Van's donation, and then JTO will be bringing an item for a master sub grant agreement. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I guess, since we can't start the, budget, hearing until 10, we can go to closed session. You guys want to go to closed session? Okay, we'll come back in out at 10. Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being patient. Board is now at a closed session. We're back in a public session, and we are here for a 10 a.m. public hearing, and it comes from administration. CL Martinez.
I will go ahead and kick it off. Carrie Martinez, County Administrative Officer. This is my 7th budget hearing for the county. So with great pleasure, we are here to present the final budget. So the Board of Supervisors adopted the recommended fiscal year 2023 through fiscal year 24 budget on June 20th of this year. The final budget hearing is scheduled to begin today, and staff presents the final budget for board's consideration. The county must submit the adopted budget resolution to the State Controller's Office by the deadline of October 2nd of the current fiscal year. The spending plan for Kings County is $4,059,601,188. The budget as prepared under board direction is balanced. Staff will provide an overview of the budget as a whole and provide a department by department overview. After all presentations have been made, the board will consider taking action on a temporary due pass for the final budget, and staff will return at a later date in approximately 2 weeks for the adoption of the resolution of the budget. I want to start off by thanking all the department heads who are here and are listening virtually for navigating this past year operationally and for staff putting this all together. I will intro it and then I will turn it over to Matthew and Dawn. So for an overview, we will go over some budget assumptions, some items that are included in the budget and items in the future, some major final budget changes from the recommended to final. We'll go over the budget equation, general fund history, budget charts, and position allocations and next steps. So for budget assumption, our budget does include a 2% increase for unions for unrepresented management, probation, association, prosecutors, general, blue collar, and supervisor unions. Those were approved on July 11th by your board, and so those are included in the final budget. However, there are additional unions that are currently we're currently negotiating with. In our budget, the California Public Retirement System, CalPERS, continues to be a primary factor in the county's budget. Both the county and the current employees contribute to the CalPERS plan, and the county's annual contribution of employees to pay the plan benefits has continued to increase significantly over the past several years. We've been bringing this up to your board annually. This year will be the first year in recent history that these costs will decrease year over year due to the lower than expected returns on plan investments over the past several years. CalPERS lowered a discount rate in 2021 from 7% to 6.8%, which increased contributions from the county to pay that 0.2% difference of benefits that were previously paid for from investment returns. The unfunded liability increased year over year until peaking last year. And according to actuary reports, the county budget will see a decrease of 2% this fiscal year. Additionally, entitlement and benefits programs over the past few years, we kept seeing a rise in general fund contribution from the Human Services Agency. However, over these past 2 years, we did not see an increase to the general fund. These are mandated entitlement and benefits program, primarily expenses related to foster care and adoptions, coupled with insufficient revenues dedicated to fund those programs, such as 1991 realignment and 2011 realignment. This is something that administration is closely monitoring. Additionally, unfunded legislation, I put unmandated, but it's unfunded legislation. In 2022, California legislature passed nearly 1,200 bills and nearly 1,000 became law. Once the governor signed those bills, many of the new laws are minor fixes to laws and legislators that governor previously enacted. However, others are narrow and specific to certain industry. Still, others will be phased in over time, and a lot of those legislation changes come without funding and are left for counties to address. Lastly, the countywide impacts of cost and associate salary study. Any increases in salaries will increase the other benefits expenses to the county budget. County budgets are mainly dominated by personnel costs and have the biggest budget impacts and are among the most difficult to change once in place. Approximately 60% of our county budgets are made up of salary and benefits. In the upcoming slides, Matthew will show our revenues are increasing about 7.4 million. However, our expenses are also growing at 13 million, which is almost double our revenue incoming. So right now we do present a balanced budget. However, moving forward, those are things that administration will be monitoring closely if your board decides to make any future recommendations from the salary survey. And at this time, I will now pass it over to Matthew.
Okay, thank you, CEO Martinez. Before we do that, though, I'm told we do have a public comment for someone in the chambers. I want to take that up right now. Is Mr. Redarmo here? Come on up, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yes, sir. Good, sir. Good morning.
All right, I wasn't planning on coming here or anything, but I popped in because my comments is, well, it's about the budget. The county insurance, I retired from here after 30 years plus whatever, plus 4 years as a volunteer and everything, but I was on the insurance committee for, I don't know, 12 or better years. The greatest insurance you can find around, there's none better. I mean, really. And I know you guys want to help the employees the best you can and everything. And this suggestion here that I have is a no cost item. And also is just to make it seem smoother for the employees. We have the insurance, you guys switched from Health Now to Compass, okay? Everything's supposed to be seamless, right? Well, I've had, I don't know, 3 years surgeries this year already, and it's not seamless. Because the Compass is on a fiscal year and your insurance is on a calendar year, it makes a flipping headache to deal with the insurance because everything's being billed on the old card. Now they bill the old card and, oh, you're not, you're not in there. There's no insurance. You put the new card on there. Oh, now you got to meet all of your deductible. I've had 3 surgeries this year. My out of pocket is met. I just left Pro PT and their stuff because they're on the new card now. Well, you haven't met your deductible. You got to pay, So my suggestion, no cost item. I've talked to Ashley and I'm sure Leroy would feel the same way, but put them the administrators all on the calendar year or put the insurance all on a fiscal year, but have it so if you change one of them, it's not midstream where you have your employees having to deal with insurance and administrators and this and that and doctors to make it go smoother. Pretty simple. I think so. I hope I explained myself well enough. And just on another note, catching something about that since I'm up here. You've got your public safety personnel that retire at a 55-year age. That's 10 years before they can go to Medicare, the one you know what I'm talking about. What is it? Medicare, right? Okay, so it's 10-year gap there. There should be something to help them get through those 10 years because COBRA is pretty expensive. My wife is still working with the county. Hopefully she'll be retiring after the first year. I don't know. But then I'll just be on the COBRA for 3 years. She'll be going on Medicare. So it'll just be me. That's $664 a month. I think it just went up. I'm not sure. But it would be a great benefit to the public safety officers that have to retire, not have to, they retire at 55 or maybe a little later to help them bridge that gap. I think the employees would be more than happy to even contribute to a program that would bridge that gap. I mean, I know I would have if I was still working. My knees, I just had a total knee replacement on the second one. My back was fused 2 years ago. I wrote up, I don't know how many comp injuries over the years on my back and my knees, but I walked out because I wanted to walk out of the job the way I walked into it. I never went through this. So this is all on me through my insurance, through out of my pocket, which I'm fine with. But if there's a way to help, because I guarantee you, these law enforcement officers and firefighters and stuff that are retiring, they're going to have injuries that they got to deal with that weren't dealt with while they were working. I didn't want to deal with them at work. I just wanted to walk out the way I walked in. So I think if there's some sort of program you can come up with to give them coverage after they retire. I mean, maybe something like what you guys have, for every so long, many years you put in, you've got medical insurance after you retire from here. Maybe not even that great, but maybe something that they can contribute to and, you negotiate for it and get some coverage, but a program would be needed. That's all I've got to say. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your years of service, sir. And, yeah, I know you're making sense. I think some of us have already experienced going back to your first comment on the, on the insurance. Cause I know just in the last 2 weeks, I've had a question to deductibles as well. And so that makes sense. And, maybe we can take some time to look into that on that issue there. So thank you.
Thank you.
And then I just want to ask at this point, not to you, sir.
Oh.
Sorry. Before we get going here, was any department heads that had any opposition to any of the budget? I'm told no, but I always like to ask. Okay. And then my comments to the board is, it seems like it's been a long year already dealing with the flood emergencies and having to deal with that fiscally and showing the public the direction we're moving in. We had a nice presentation on the proposed budget a couple months ago. Everything's online. The budget books are public. And so I just want to put this out there. We could spend a couple hours, line item by line item, temporary due pass. But the board, I think the board has a lot of confidence in our new CAO. There is no opposition. The chair's open at any point to entertain a motion on this year's budget. If you want to start off a little bit, or even I just want to put that out there to the board. Any other board members have a comment?
Yeah, I've been here 13 years now, and, the first few years, we went over line item by line item. And if we don't have a contested budget, there's no need putting everybody go through the paces. So we could make a motion, do a temporary due pass on the entire budget at this point, and then call it good. I got confidence in our staff. No contested budget. I think all the department heads are here today. We don't waste anybody's time. We're good to go.
Sir, yes, sir. And also we showed the direction on the recruitment retention. The money's been allocated where staff is working on that. This is why I just feel that we put a lot of our direction out already. So if anyone has any comments they'd like to add.
I just wanted to ask the board if you would want to just listen to maybe the next 3 slides and then we can maybe make the motion so you can see where we landed on the final budget.
I want to see Matthew work.
He's all cleaned up too.
Right. Got extra rest today.
It will take less than 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they did all that preparation. Combed his hair.
I know. All right, so the slide that we're looking at right now is.
Motion to approve.
Oh. All right. So this slide shows, these are only changes to the general fund, changes from the recommended budget that we brought before your board at the tail end of June, that are baked into the final budget that we brought before your board this morning. So on the revenue side, we do have an increase in our property taxes of just a little over $4 million. We got a better understanding now of how the flood is impacting our tax roll this current year. However, we still are in a state of emergency. We still have over 90,000 acres underwater. And we are seeing some larger cities showing decreases in their property taxes. And historically, we feel those effects later. So those trickle down to us after the fact. So that's something that we're going to be mindful of here moving into the future. So although we were able to realize an estimated increase there for this year, it is still something that we're monitoring, looking at next year as we begin to see the aftermath of what the larger cities are already seeing. With that, we are increasing our estimates there for the various miscellaneous taxes and fees on the general fund side based on what we received at the tail end of this last fiscal year. We also have a new flood budget unit that's built into this budget that wasn't there during recommended to account for all of the assistance and expenditures that the county will be experiencing. We have that budgeted at $3 million, both on the revenue and expenditure side. Next, we have a body worn camera grant from the Sheriff's Department, both on the revenue and expenditure side. That's a rollover. That was a grant approved by your board at the tail end of the fiscal year that's going to roll over into this current fiscal year. As well as a comprehensive opioid and substance abuse program grant, or the COSAP grant, for the Sheriff's Office. Again, kind of approved at the tail end of this last fiscal year that's going to be rolled over into this final budget. We do have some vehicle purchases at the Human Services Agency, both on the revenue side and an expenditure side. It's a net zero. It's a fully funded purchase to go ahead and keep their fleet in a kind of a new and safe state. And they also provide a lot of used vehicles that are still high quality that other departments can go ahead and purchase and use and at a very cost-effective rate. And we have some increases in our Prop 172 funding based on what we've received at the tail end of last fiscal year. That is our public safety sales tax funding that goes to fund portions of the DA, sheriff, and fire. So we were able to estimate slight increases there, as well as an increase in the CalWorks allocation in the Human Services Agency. So the state increased their investment in this program. And so we went ahead and increased the allocations both on the revenue and expenditure side. And then some things on the expenditure side here, we did have a shortfall in our 2005 jail bond refunding, where the current revenues are not, keeping up with that. So in addition to that, we have a couple of years worth of the Motorola lease and maintenance payments there at the Sheriff's Office that we had to increase some expense allocations on, as well as we have some personnel expense increases for about $2.2 million, $2.3 million based on salary increases and various adds and deletes. And then we also have some IT rate changes, as well as a few rollover items. And then just a couple of other miscellaneous changes and rollover projects from last fiscal year rolling into this fiscal year. So an overall change in revenue of bringing in an additional $18.3 million. And then on the expense side, increasing expense allocations about $14.17 million. So this slide here illustrates what we had adopted, or what your board had adopted last fiscal year versus what the departments had requested initially in this process. So in the requested budget, we had current year revenue at $317.70 million. And coupled with our fund balance of $19.64 million, that brought total available financing at $337.34 million. So all of the requests from the department for expenditures was $333.09 million, which left us at a slight surplus of $4.25 million. There were no contingencies budgeted here. So you could essentially view that surplus down there at the bottom as a contingency per se. So if you look at the relation between what was adopted versus what was requested, we had revenue increasing the current year revenue increasing about $10 million. But on the expense side, we had current expenditures there increasing by about $17 million. So just wanted to point your attention to that relationship. And then this slide here shows what your board recommended last year versus what administration brought before your board at the tail end of June for our recommended budget. And so although the fund balance went up, the expenditures were still exponentially outpacing the current year revenue. And so within this correlation here from adopted last year to what was recommended, current revenue was only expected to grow about 7.64 million, while expenditures were estimated to grow about 13.45 million. So they were expected to grow at a rate of about more than double that. So this recommended budget did include 10.16 million in contingencies, which in comparison to what was adopted in 22-23, that was those are down 1.07 million. Then moving on, we have the adopted budget last year versus what we are bringing forward to your board this morning as the final budget. So we have current revenue expected to grow roughly 25.93 million, while current expenditures are expected to grow 27.62 million. And although that gap has shortened a little bit in relation to the growth in revenue and growth in expenditures, our current liabilities there, our current expenditures are still growing at a pace faster than our current revenue, which further highlights the importance of our fund balance rolling over year to year to help with that available financing of what our current our current expenditures are. So we do really heavily rely on that fund balance year to year. So we do have contingencies at 14.28 million. So that's about 3 million more than last year. You'll also notice that we are adding $2 million into reserves. So that brings us to a general fund history slide where this outlines general fund history over the last 15 years, going back to 2009, 2010. And so, as you can see, we want to focus on the bold column there and the available column. As you kind of move down the chart, you can kind of see both the available financing and the uses of the available financing continue to grow. If you can point your attention there towards the bottom kind of section where we start in fiscal year 2021 and moving on to the current, all the way to the right, you have the reserves and contingencies area. So over the last several years, we have been able to put a few dollars into our reserves and have slightly higher than normal contingencies if you look from years previous. A lot can be attributed to that, mainly all of the one-time funding that the county has received over the last few years due to the pandemic. So as we received that one-time funding, we have really used that to our advantage to set ourselves up financially for the future. So we were able to go ahead and put money in reserves and have contingencies there. So we have contingency of 14.2 this year. We had a contingency of 9 last year. The year prior, 15.3. So, but again, these are all one-time funding mechanisms that will be going away shortly. So, and it's all relative to your current uses. So obviously, as our uses continue to exponentially increase, we should see the contingencies grow in similar fashions to create, fiscal health and healthy margins going forward. Next, we have a chart here that shows our general fund net county cost by department. So as you can see, we do have public safety departments at the top of the list here, which continues to signify the importance and priority of public safety for your board. So we have sheriff, probation, and the DA there at the top, followed by consolidated courts, which is our defense of the accused department, as well as HSA and the Department of Finance. And then moving on, this is a chart that shows the change from last year's adopted budget to this final budget that's before your board this morning. This is a change in the net county cost department by department. So this is either an increase or decrease in general fund contributions. And so if we look at a few of the kind of heavy hitters here, we have the sheriff's department at the top with an increase of 2.8 million, or an increase of about 10.5%. District attorney, we have an increase of 237,000, or an increase of about 5.3%. The assessor clerk recorder, an increase of 108,000, which is 6.74%. Elections with an increase of 226,000, which is 23.48%. The Department of Finance at 189,000, 6.27%. And consolidated courts, again, our defense of the accused at 204,000, which is an increase of 5.34%. We have human resources increasing 185,000 or 11.92%. An ag commissioner increasing 142,000, which is 12.48%. And the board of supervisors at 160,000, which is 17.01%. And next, this chart shows the comparison from last fiscal year's adopted budget to the final budget presented before your board this morning for all of our internal service fund departments. So this is Public Works, this is all of our risk budget units as well as IT. And these are not impacts on general fund directly. These are impacts on the specific internal service funds. So if we look, we show Public Works, their fleet internal service fund, decreasing the contributions from that fund, from their fund balance there in their internal service fund by about $1.5 million. So roughly 50% decrease. On the information technology side, all of those departments kind of lumped together. We're seeing a net change of an increase of $372,000 of money that they are going to be drawing on from their internal service fund balance, which is an increase of about 60.13%. And then moving on, I'll turn it over to Dom.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good morning. Domingo Cruz again. So the following charts will depict the county's proposed total final expenditure in financing sources, the total general fund expenditures and financing sources, the discretionary expenses and the overall position allocation that is needed to operate all functions of the county. Just to point out that the overall proposed final budget total is $461.60 million, or about 37.79 million more than last year's adopted budget. And the general fund final budget is 359.77 million, or approximately 32.44 million more than last year's adopted budget. So this chart reflects all proposed final expenditures in the county. As mentioned before, 461.6 million. This includes all general funds, special revenues, capital project funds, and debt service funds. For general government, we have 44.78 million, public safety, 127.52 million, public transportation, 18.33 million, health, 62.52 million, public assistance, 132.67 million, the education and recreation, 6.24 million, and the capital projects, 27.35 million, and the all others, which is 42.21 million. I would like to point out that in the all other category and the pie, it includes the internal service funds, agency funds. Examples of that is the roads and child support services, the reserves, the debt service funds. Example of that are the pension obligation funds, jail construction bonds, and jail bond refunding. And of course, the contingencies. So chart 2 is the proposed final financing sources, which is 461.6 million. It includes our general fund, special revenues, capital project funds, and debt service funds. For the fund balance, we have 53.25 million, state federal, 245.71 million, public safety, sales tax, 13 million, hazardous waste tax, 1.5 million, the general taxes, 72.53 million, the changes for services, 15.28 million, or rather charges for services, and then the other revenue, 60.33 million. And for the other revenue, the category and the pie includes the license and permits. Examples are the general fund revenues, Department of Finance, the recorder, sheriff, administration, planning, and building inspection. Also included in that is fines and forfeits. That's the example is the recorder, sheriff, detention division, Also include the use of money and property. Example of that is probation department, behavioral health, admin, Kings County Mental Health Administration, Parks and Recreation, and Fire Department. Also included in that pie is the miscellaneous revenue. Example is county council, assessor, elections, sheriff, field operation, the reserves. Also is included in that pie. And lastly, included in that pie is the other financing sources. Example is that is a March 2023 floods, the DA prosecution, the sheriff detention, fire departments, and building permits. So moving on to the general fund expenditures, the proposed is 359.77 million. For general government, we have 32.11 million, public assistance, 128.72 million, health, 62.52 million, education and recreation, 3.63 million, public safety, 115.44 million, the debt service, 1.06 million, and the contingencies, which is 4.28 million. The general fund proposed final budget is 359, or approximately 32.44 million more than last year's. In this chart, we have the proposed final general fund financing sources, which is 359.77 million. For state and federal, we have 207.92 million of the pie. Public safety, sales tax is 10.71 million. Hazardous waste, 1.5 million. General taxes, 59.17 million. The charges for services and fees, 14.39 million. And the other revenues, 40.34 million. And then the fund balance is 25.74 million. So this fiscal year, the reserves mentioned in the previous slides came from the fund balance part of the pie, which is the 25.7 million. So this is chart 5. It's basically the proposed final general fund expenditure for fiscal year 2023-24 from the previous slide in the amount of 359.77 million, which is divided to virtually no discretion. It points out that 82%, or 295.79 million of the budget, has no or very little discretion. This means that we cannot touch these funds. Only 63.98 million, or 18% of the budget, contains the discretionary programs that are subject to reduction. Example of that are the sheriff, contingencies, probation, district attorney. They're just example of those discretionary funds that subject to reduction. I'd like also to point out that when someone sees the county's budget, the initial thought is that the county has 359.77 million to spend on, but in reality, only 63.98 million is discretionary. Again, these are those departments that your board can decide to increase or decrease if you desire. Here we have the position change for final. Our recommendation includes 1,689.31 full-time equivalent employees, which accounts for 56 additions and 38.6 deletes, resulting in a 17.40 FTE increase in positions for 2024 from 22-23 budget. So we have 7.0 FTE unfunded positions in this proposed final. We have 4.0 FTE from the health and 3.0 FTE from the district attorney. So the 1,689.31 FTE in this recommendation is a 1.04% increase from the FY 22-23 adopted budget. So in 22-23, we adopted 1,658.91 FTE. And after the budget was adopted, your board approved a net total of additional 13.0 FTE change throughout the fiscal year. The changes throughout this fiscal year bring the amended FY 2022-23 total of 1,671.91. And the net change of 17.40 FTE from the previous slide brings our FTE proposed final for 23-24 to 1,689.31 FTE.
And that concludes our overview.
Okay, thank you. Are there any, last one more time from department heads or anyone in chambers? Any questions or comments? All right. Board members, thank you again, staff, and thanks for outlining that and touching up. It's okay with the board. The chair will entertain a motion.
Yeah, so I'd like to thank staff and thank the administration for working together so we don't have a contested budgets. I know we've been here in the past where we spent a day or so on this issue. So this shows teamwork and camaraderie, and I thank everybody for their efforts and what they've done. With that, I'll vote to approve. What I say, temporary due pass on all budgets.
Correct. And then we'll bring back a resolution in 2 weeks.
Do we need to add to the motion to close the budget hearings as well?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve all budgets with temporary due pass and close budget hearings.
Motion by Verboen and Robinson came in with a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Richard Valley,
Aye.
Doug Verboen,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson, Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Good work, everybody. And a lot of that goes to the department heads for their work and organization. Thank you. All right, well, the board will go back to closed session to finish up some conferences, meet and confer labor negotiators and significant exposure to litigation. Thank you. Next week, remember, Catherine, we'll be in the multipurpose room. Okay. Thank you.